Hi, this week we're going to talk about something that almost everybody wants, and that is how to take in, retain, so that we can recall far more information. Let's start with reading. About 1 in 4 people in this world struggle with reading. They don't read as much as they'd like, and when they're reading, they're not taking in as much as they want to. Why? Some assume, quite wrongly, that it's to do with their level of intelligence, and it's absolutely not. In fact, it's often the reverse. So what is happening with most people that struggle with reading? It comes back to their eye tracking. Their eye tracking, which should be smooth and able to follow words and lines effortlessly, has never become automatic. We already know that if a skill is not automatic, it hasn't been hardwired by the bit of the brain at the back called the cerebellum. And if a skill is not automatic so that we do it without thinking about it, then we have to think about it. And it fills our working memory. Eye tracking is a critical skill for reading. We have to follow the words and make sure the letters go in the right order so that we can understand them and so that we can comprehend the whole sentence. When eye tracking is not automatic, the working memory is full just of controlling the eyes. Then, because eye tracking is poor, we take the letters in the wrong order and they become scrambled. No wonder such people don't find spelling easy, because they never see a word spelt in the same way because their eyes are jumping all over the place. And because working memory is full, when they've worked out what the word is, they've got nowhere to store it. They should store it in working memory, but it's already full and working very, very hard. So they get to the end of the sentence, they get to the end of the paragraph, and they have to reread it and try again. And it's exhausting for them. The bit that's exhausting is that the main key processes for reading have not become automatic. So the wonderful thing is when you improve the capability of the cerebellum and support it, then that's got the chance to make eye tracking skills automatic. When they are automatic, it isn't filling working memory. Your working memory is free. You're seeing the words with the letters in the right order. The whole process of reading and retaining and therefore storing it so you can recall it becomes far more effortless. It's remarkably simple and straightforward to explain. The clever bit, of course, is improving the cerebellum by supporting it so that it is able to naturally create the skill of eye tracking so that the process of reading itself becomes a natural skill. Now, the same is true of concentration when you are listening. So many, probably 1 in 5 or so people, struggle with concentration, not because they're choosing to not listen. The very process of hearing and turning what they hear into thoughts they comprehend and understand is not itself an automatic process. And it affects a lot of people, especially a lot of bright people. So when they're in a class or a lecture or in a business meeting, then they are working very hard. They can hear okay, so if you test your hearing, no problem. But from there on, the process of turning what they are hearing, the sounds they are hearing, into thoughts they understand is not automatic because, guess, you're right, it's the cerebellum hasn't finished the job of completing an automatic auditory processing system. So the thinking brain is again involved with turning what you hear into thoughts you understand. And that's the place where you process. So you've got nowhere to store what you're listening to. So what typically happens, and this is scary, a friend of mine tried to explain it only the other day. She said that when she is listening, she is working so hard listening to one sentence, and before she's finished processing that sentence, the speaker has finished the next sentence and started the one beyond that. So she loses track, and it's very frustrating and very, very hard work. It's not a choice. So please understand yourself if this is an issue you have, and please understand others if it's an issue they have. Solve the issues with the cerebellum. Give the cerebellum the chance, the ability to complete the creation of an automatic program that you don't have to think about, that turns what you hear into thoughts you comprehend. Concentration becomes a lot easier. So I hope that helps, and I hope it gives you some hope if these are issues you're struggling with. I want to talk now about an exercise I want you to do, and it's about planning your week. I want you to start from now for this next week or so, and if you like it, you'll probably carry on doing it anyway. Every night, write down what you want to do the next day and prioritize it. Really important, quite important, nice but not so important. So it's categories 1, 2 and 3. Start doing that. Unless you've already got a very effective system that you use already, start doing that and see what happens, because that's another way of freeing up your working memory from the things that keep you awake at night and the things that distract you, because distraction is something that really hampers people's effectiveness and organizational skills. The more things you're holding in your mind, the more your working memory is full of stuff that needn't be there. So try emptying it out for the next few nights and see what happens to your sleep, see what happens to your organization the next day. So that's your exercise for this week. Next week, we're going to be talking about decision making, all important decision making, how to make better decisions, how to be less impulsive, to make better long-term decisions. And also we're going to be talking about the amygdala. That's the bit of the brain that hardwires those emotionally charged events that we have and brings them up later in life, which can help us or hinder us. That's next week. All the best.